What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Payday 3 and my impressions of the game so far. I don't want to call this a full-on review because ultimately, I haven't experienced the game at its fullest. I haven't played all the difficulties, and I know things are supposed to really ramp up in Payday games, and you're supposed to have the best communication and maybe even the most fun as the difficulty levels progress. So what I'm here to do is to talk about at least the first 5-6 levels and just what I think of the game so far. The developers did give me a code for this game, so I want to throw that out there early. I thank them for that very, very much. And I honestly am really enjoying this game. And, the title of this is, I try to come up with catchy things, but that try to reflect how I actually feel about product, or in this case, the game. And it's true. I had just recently went back to play Payday 2 about a month ago just to reacclimate myself to the ecosystem that is Payday, and I honestly didn't have as much fun playing Payday 2 as I thought I was going to have. To be honest, I think I'm having as much fun in Payday 3 as I wanted to have in Payday 2 when I went back. Now, how to actually expand upon that and put that into words, this game is just flat out fun. This game works at its best when you're obviously playing with others, and ultimately, in my hours playing this game so far, I don't always get that. I gotta be honest, the matchmaking, sometimes the game will just not let me get a full group of people, and I guess partially that's my fault. Maybe I should find friends and play this game with other people. But no, I mean, honestly, that is something that I think a buyer's beware kind of thing. If you're getting Payday 3 and maybe this is the first one you've ever jumped into, know a couple things. Know that this game really functions at its best when, number one, you have a full team, all 4 players, not 2, not 3, all 4. Okay, because the AI is still really, really stupid. They're not as stupid as they were in Payday 2, but they are still, I'd say, on the bottom chain of if you ever seen gaming AI. And honestly, when you're playing these games and you're supposed to be communicating, and some of these parts of at least missions are supposed to be stealth and you're supposed to handle them kind of with care, the AI doesn't do you any favors. Now, they don't necessarily get in your way. They literally don't do anything. You have to kind of direct them where to go. They'll follow you. They're kind of like magnets. If you go somewhere, they'll go with the closest person that's nearby. But overall, they are completely useless. Again, maybe 99% useless, whereas they were 100% useless in Payday 2. But that's something that you should know. And you also probably should be communicating with the other people. I don't think it's necessarily a requirement, but I think Payday 3 is probably at its most fun when you have a group of 4 people that ideally you know who they are and you're talking to each other and you're having fun that way, because the levels are actually really, really good. There's not a weak link in terms of the levels. Some of them remind me a little bit more of Hitman. There's a disco dance party going on and what you have to do, and you can handle it very stealthy, and the primary objective actually gets destroyed. If you mess up, it actually kind of goes to plan B, where you're not actually going to complete the full-on thing you were supposed to complete. It reminded me actually quite a bit of a Hitman, where, okay, there's a couple ways of handling this. You have to plan it out where the guards are looking and kind of get them away from certain doors so that you can go in the doors. It's actually quite clever. Some of the levels are just full-on mayhem. The bridge one is one that kind of comes to mind, where you're on it, you're directing a car, you have to stay with the car, enemies are attacking you from both sides, there's snipers from the far reaches of the map, and that's pretty much it, right? You're just trying to attack them, and I think the game actually works really well in both cases. I also feel that the game is actually very simplified versus Payday 2. Now, this should not actually be all that crazy to say out loud, and shouldn't be all that unexpected. This game still has some work to do, I think, because when you go into this game, one thing this game does have a lot is the levels and the different kind of classes of character that you can kind of progress. That was very much like Payday 2, although Payday 2 had much more than what this game has. Although this game has quite a bit, it's actually in the levels that this game kind of lacks. You go in, you play the different heists, you play them at different difficulties. There's the store, the vendor, where you can pick out your cosmetics and your mask, which the masks are very, very cool looking, the suits, the weapons, that jazz, right? And you go into the heist. I believe there's 8 heists, at least at launch, and this is a game that's going to have to, evolve with the times, or I guess not even evolve. It is at its core what it is. Just add. It's going to have to just add things as time goes on. So I guess that's another probably buyer's beware. I didn't expect 60 different, unique objectives and things in this game. Payday 2 did a very similar thing, and this is kind of the ecosystem we're in, right? Game comes out, it's not not at its fullest yet, and you'll probably have to wait a couple years before this game gets 20, 30, 40 heists. But I mean, Payday 2 turned out to be quite the story. There are so many unique missions to play in Payday 2. You could be playing that game for weeks on end, and you might not, depending, I mean, you pick them, so you may be picking the same ones over and over, but it's possible you might not be repeating a specific mission. This game, you are. This game, there's 8 of them. They're not too long. If you rush them, and the objectives vary based off of, right, the mission that you're doing, but I'd say it takes anywhere between 15, 20, 25 minutes. Higher difficulties is going to take longer. It's also just going to be harder overall. Again, you are going to need that communication, but you're not looking at the longest thing of all time. But again, you're supposed to play it over and over. You're supposed to rake in the money. You're supposed to customize. You're supposed to get better weapons. You're supposed to keep trying with your friends and getting just better and better each time. And that goes into the gameplay, honestly, where the game has to shine. Otherwise, it would be no fun. It's actually pretty good. Again, I would say there's one weakness, one major weakness, and it's, again, the enemy AI. The AI of your own companions are brain dead, basically. The AI of the enemies are almost just as stupid, if not as stupid. They sometimes will do, like, odd flanking maneuvers that'll, be pretty good for them and bad for you, which is fine. But other times, they will, like, group up in, like, the oddest forms you've ever seen. You can sometimes follow them. Multiple times, I've seen them where they spawn. They'll run and they'll be kind of in, like, a forward line, like just one after the other. They'll run to a specific area. You can kind of follow them behind them, and they won't notice you. They won't know you're there. There's a little stealth. Like, there is some stealth stuff, so maybe the game gets confused and thinks that I'm trying to be stealthy, but I'm not. I'm, like, actively shooting at them. So the enemy AI is pretty darn dumb, but they do pack a punch. Like, that's not to say you take them lightly, because ultimately, even on normal, you need to have a little sense of what you're doing. On hard, oh my god, you need to know what you're doing. I can just tell you that flat out. I actually haven't played the game past the hard difficulty, but they may be dumb, but they definitely do a lot of damage. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of variety in the kinds of enemies that there are out there, so you got to be on your toes, and I respect that. I think that makes the game more fun, because ultimately there's a lot of shooting, there's a lot of eliminations, we'll call it, and it's a lot of fun to actually play. The objectives, the actual heisting stuff, again, when I thought of Payday 2, I thought of, like, bank heists, and then when you play it, you realize there's actually more missions that aren't bank or jewelry heists than there are. And this game, it's also kind of 50-50. Like, is there maybe 1 or 2 missions in the first 5 or 6 in the game that are actually, go into a store. There is a jewelry store, literally heist, where you go and you rob them. There's a bank one, so I guess there's maybe 2. It's fun. It's definitely fun, but it's not the majority, I would say, of the game. But there's stealth elements. There's putting on your mask and, telling everybody to get down. Like, there's still the classic kind of Payday, trading hostages for resources, trading hostages for extra time, so you can kind of prepare. The game, I do think, gets better and better the more you play it, because honestly, when you're so early in the game and you're not a high level, which is me, right? That's why, again, this is not necessarily a full-on review. When you're so low and you only have a couple guns to work with and even, like, equipment, well, when you're preparing for, like, the cops' assault, there's not actually much you can do. Like, there's really not too much. It's only when you're going to get more powerful, unlock more things, then I think the strategic element of this game starts to unlock itself. Early on, I don't know how much strategy. There is a little. There's definitely a little, and you can definitely do more things in this game without your mask on versus the second game. In the second game, I don't even know how you could do it. There's nothing you can do without your mask on in the second game. This game, there's a lot more, but there's still not too many things, so ultimately you're gonna have to put your mask on probably before you think you have to, and you're just gonna have to kind of open fire and then just get ready for whatever the objective is. But ultimately, it is a fun time. I'm looking forward to kind of playing this over time. This is not a game I expect myself to play like every single day, especially going into October with all the games coming out. But this is a game I imagine I'll pick up every few weeks or maybe every month or so and see what was added, because I think once you kind of double the heist, triple it, which we know, like, a lot of this stuff is eventually going to come anyway. Once this game starts to kind of fill itself out, I think it's actually going to be a really, really good product. And already, it is more fun. Like I said, I definitely stand by that. This is more fun than Payday 2 in my experience. Now, that's not everybody's experience, but it's mine. I'm having more fun here than Payday 2, and this was kind of the package deal I thought I was getting when I went back in, many, many years after Payday 2 came out. That's what I thought I would get there, and I didn't, but now I am in Payday 3. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.